Welcome along. You join us at Fujitsu World Tour London. The theme of this year's event is driving a trusted future. The rapid evolution of new technologies, new structures, new ecosystems brought about by disruption, it inevitably creates a degree of challenge and a few questions. For example, how do we deliver digital transformation while proving business value back to the boardroom? How do we continue to delight our customers? How do we provide value to society at large? Well, we've got your back this year at Fujitsu World Tour. We're going to help you through these interviews identify the mix of partners, technologies and solutions required to address all of those questions. Up next, we're going to talk collaborating for cloud success. Hot topic at the moment, isn't it? Although there's a lot of companies out there that are stalled to even go to the cloud, let alone multi-cloud. To join me and help us understand this fast-moving pace and the challenges around adopting new technologies and driving forward that disruptive agenda without falling foul of some of the issues that can cause pain points back to the business. We're delighted to say we're joined by Andy Clark, who's the Design and Innovation Director from Oracle, Patrick Stephenson, Client Managing Director for Central Government Fujitsu UK, and Ian Price, Oracle Alliances Director, Fujitsu EMEA. Gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm really keen to get all of your answers on this, but I'll come to you first, Patrick. Co-creation and collaboration. Why does Fujitsu believe this is just so important for cloud success?
Well, the event today is all about trust in uncertain times, and I think when you think about cloud, we've got to get back to basics. Yeah. So let's think about the business problem. What's the challenge? So let's co-create and understand that challenge. Let's start to think about what outcome we're trying to drive, which is really important. Then start to understand what needs are required to move to cloud. And then let's start to work out what solution is the right solution to fix that problem and drive those outcomes. So what I would say is cloud, like any business transformation enabled by technology, it's all about getting back to basics, working in rainbow teams, with the private sector, the public sector, SMEs, working together with an understanding of the challenge and the outcome with the right solution for an organisation.
Oracle's view, why is it important to collaborate around sort of cloud success?
I'd probably just build on what Patrick was saying there, really, that if you start fundamentally from the customer's need and what the underlying business need that they're trying to solve, it's seldom, even with a company as large as with a biggest portfolio of products and services Oracle, that everything can come from that one company. And it's really important that you start off by actually from that need and then build out. And by doing that, going back to the theme of trust, what you actually get as well is that, especially we have a theme where we talk about co-innovation rather than co-creation, where we work in blended teams with other organisations and partners, but also the customer themselves, so that they have an investment in the solution and know that it's going to link back to their underlying business need. So I think our approach of actually working across the team is much more important than just expecting that a solution can be delivered by one single vendor.
And this really impacts the customer's customer, Ian, right? It's not just about sort of Fujitsu's customer. The value goes back down the line, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think what the customer gets out of the type of collaboration we have with Oracle is the fact that we are used to working together. We use the strengths of both organisations to deliver an outcome for our customer and, as you say, their customers as well. And that by leveraging the ecosystem that we've built up between us with maybe our smaller partners as well, that provides something to our end customers that maybe is a lot harder for them to achieve. So basically they're tapping into not just our talent pool, but our solutions and our capabilities, which extends their outcomes, but also gives them access to skills that they maybe don't have themselves.
Your sector, and again we come to you first, Patrick, the first movers, what are the first movers doing?
I think the first movers are looking at, again, what are the quick wins around cloud? How can we move workloads into, let's say, public cloud? But really importantly, starting to think, and I use the analogy of a pizza, commonly. The first slice you take out of 30% of the problem is typically the easy bit to do. So get some early wins, prove your approach and your methodology, make sure you keep the business operation running smoothly and help the business transform, enable it to move forward. but then start to understand the complexity of the pizza slices that are left. And there's lots of dependencies, between data, latency, security. So the early adopters are not just thinking about the easy wins, they're thinking about the complexity that's left and how do we perhaps move to a multi-cloud environment. Because I think you were just saying earlier, there isn't one answer to everything, and then using the expertise of different suppliers and ecosystems to work out the answer to that business need for that particular client. So it's really having that experience to get the quick wins, but also start to tackle some of the very complex workloads that clients have.
I should say, if you're interested in the analogy, cloud as a pizza, there's a lot of content on our social media channels. This has been really well received. I know you've written a blog about it.
Yes.
There's some content relating to a recent event you were at. It's worth taking a look. It does make a lot of sense, I assure you. Let's talk technology adoption. I guess one of the big challenges is how do we prove value back to the business? It's a recurring theme. The CEO, the CFO, they want to balance everything up on the financial reports, but there's a burden with investment. It's needed to drive the business forward. How do we get that value coming back?
So again, building on what Patrick said in a way, I think if you, what we're finding is the early adopters in the cloud will adopt a much more agile approach as well to finding a solution. So they'll adopt methodologies like design thinking and Scrum or whatever to actually be able to, and if you've got the underlying business need and you assign value to that need, and then what you do is very quickly test, and the cloud enables you to test against that need very quickly and either succeed fast or fail fast and pivot to another solution. And when you then say, okay, this is now reaching our value, or we can see that this is giving us the benefit we expected, of course, cloud allows you to then scale much quicker as well. So I think it's both in terms of an approach that people are adopting earlier, taking, and then a way of actually proving value quickly.
Do you think the boardroom and technology are aligned in the way they should be on this at the moment, or do they need to come together a bit more?
I think when I compare how organisations operate these days with maybe how it was, say, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, there's much closer alignment. So you're starting to see the IT function maybe being part of finance or being part of an overall digital function that's aligned to the business. You're also seeing business leaders being far more technology savvy. And I think those lines are blurring, and organisations, the business leaders are now looking for outcomes from their IT providers and their internal IT departments. So I think that's getting better. Can there be more done? Always. There's always a need for greater collaboration. And I think when it comes to cloud, particularly when we're talking about SaaS applications, there's a real need for very close collaboration on change, because part of the process, a big part of the process now, isn't about technology adoption, it's about business change to adopt those standard ways of working, and therefore that collaboration from the start. I think we've written blogs on it in the past. The longest pole in the tent is about that cultural change and that need to adopt rather than change the technology.
I just want to pick up on the public sector while we got you Patrick. Are we seeing more encouraging signs of entities looking at cloud, or is there still distrust within the public sector?
No, so I think the public sector for a while now has had a cloud-first strategy. So there are naturally early adopters to that cloud strategy. We've just been on stage with, very proud to say, with the Financial Conduct Authority, where Fujitsu and Oracle have worked with the FCA. We're currently delivering a cloud premise on customer with an Exadata platform. And even the regulators are now embracing some of this new cloud technology. What I would say is there are some bear traps out there, okay? And the bear traps are, and we talked earlier with the FCA client around tech debt. So we've just got to make sure, I mentioned pizzas earlier, we want one digital pizza, we don't want two pizzas. Two pizzas cost a lot of money, okay? So we've got to make sure we switch off the old stuff as we move to the cloud. And I think that's one of the bear traps at the moment, back to the business case. People are sometimes forgetting, and they get excited by the new world. Actually, you're going to the new world to close off the old infrastructures and the more static, less agile technology. But your program has got to make sure it's got a plan to decommission that old infrastructure. That's when the business cases start to work.
going to ask the same question to all of you, and then I'm going to pick up on some bees with you in a moment, Andy. There'll be a lot of boardrooms watching this. If you had one message, Ian, for those organisations looking at their cloud adoption, what would it be?
Well, I think just building on what Patrick's just said about our collaboration with Oracle and the FCA, it would be engage early and leverage your ecosystem.
My view is cloud or whatever technology enabled program this is, understand the business problem and understand what success looks like, and then work with the right partner to deliver that.
Andy?
So I like that one, but I think also is recognising, is increasing recognition that when you're talking about trust and security, that there are elements in the cloud that you can now probably do easier and quicker than you can do in your own data centre. So utilise that and then focus your time on where you can innovate and where you can really get business value rather than just on keeping the lights on.
Sometimes we get comments on social that we don't give them real world examples of how this is in play, that we hypothesise around solutions and we don't give them the depth of the story. Tell us about how Oracle is protecting the Hive, because this is a fascinating example of cloud at play, is it not?
It certainly is. It's been, I confess I've been in Oracle almost 30 years, and it's the most interesting project I've ever been involved in. And underlying the whole project is, and this is in the news constantly, you can see it, but sort of it was mentioned earlier, 77% of all food depends on pollinators like bees. Actually, half of that depends on bees. So a third of all food we eat depends on just bees. They're that efficient as pollinators. But even more scary stat is that, two scary stats, is 87% of all plants depend on pollinators. So it's not just food, it's oxygen. And the last scary stat, and I'll just do the UK, but these stats are around the globe, but there's been a 45% decline in just honeybees in the last sort of 8-9 years in the UK. And that's a scary, scary number. So the World Bee Project was founded by a marvellous inspiring lady called Sabir Malik, who's got very big goals about trying to investigate why there's that decline, but also about investigating how we can get more information out about sustainable farming and how we can avoid some of the traps that are causing the problems worldwide, and also leading to large communities going into poverty. So she's got really big goals. So it's part of the challenge is narrowing that down into what can we make a difference with technology. First of all, she wants to underpin it with science, so she's hooked up with a number of research institutions like the University of Reading and Professor Simon Potts, who's kind of world-renowned in this area, and he's the co-founder. But then she wanted to underpin it with technology to see what we could do. So I could talk about this for an awful long time, so I'm going to try and narrow it down to one area. The key area is about putting sensors on beehives and creating what she calls a global hive network, taking that data off of the hives, and you can get inherent value straight away by seeing whether that hive's healthy, whether it's operating okay. But where Oracle's hoping to bring real value is if you imagine then that going globally in multiple countries where different conditions are, different practices are, and then overlaying it with other data that's freely available about land management or pollution or pesticide use. And then you can start to use machine learning and AI to actually look for anomalies and patterns that we don't know about, new insights that aren't available at the moment. So that's the key heart of the project and our collaboration with them at the moment.
Fascinating stuff and a worthy cause indeed. Gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by and chatting to us. Well, hopefully that's got you buzzing about cloud possibility. Have you just become a believer? No, not enjoying that? Before I get lynched by the camera crew and our guests, let's move on. Still plenty more insight to come from Fujitsu World Tour. By the time we finish later, you will have seen interviews across AI, blockchain, quantum, security, multi-cloud, innovation, operational excellence, workplace, a trusted future, retail, the connected world, public sector, transport, automation, and financial services, no less. All you need to do, go on our social channels, put in the relevant keyword or the topic that's just piqued your interest. You'll find plenty of insight helping you address those technology problems you're fronting up to. Thanks for watching.